Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to another Secrets of Strixhaven Premier Draft with one Alchemy card added to each pack. Without further ado, let's get into the pack one, pick one here. The Alchemy card is Grave Studies, so you get to conjure Teacher's Pest onto the battlefield, then each player sacks a creature. So essentially you just make your opponent sack a creature and you have a Teacher's Pest you can start reanimating throughout the game. Pretty cool card, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the rare in this pack, which is a board wipe in Prismari, the splatter technique that in the wrong matchup or in the right matchup, whatever way you look at it, you can draw 4 cards instead if it is like a mirror match where you're both very spell heavy decks without a lot of creatures on board. So really flexible, super powerful card, and I'm very happy to start with it. Pick 2, there's Stock Up. Speaking of powerful, flexible cards, this is excellent for any blue deck, drawing whatever you need it to out of your top 5. So it's good at every single point of the game, getting you mana early and spells late. Huge fan of Stock Up. That's a pretty easy pick for me here. I do like Brush Off in these spell slingery decks as well, but not as much as Stock Up. Same with like Essence Scatter here. Pretty good pack, but Stock Up is above the rest. Pick number 3. Most of these spells are pretty mediocre for any different strategy. I think we can just take a fine filler cantrip like Sleight of Hand here. Basically everything in this pack is like an okay role filler, like just an okay filler card for whatever deck you're trying to play. So we'll just take the best filler card for Blue-Red Spellslinger. Seize the Spoils could end up being a little bit better if we do go for like a full 5-color Converge deck, but I don't know that I want to be taking that before I've taken any Converge cards anyway. I'd rather just take Sleight of Hand because that'll be better in just a pure blue-red deck. Pick number 4, now there's a Vibrant Outburst for very efficient interactions. Super good against the aggressive decks because you're both clearing out a creature and stopping another one from hitting you in the same turn. Vibrant Outburst is excellent. Muse Seeker Introduce or solid card draw, but pretty easy Vibrant Outburst. Pick 5, Matter Bending Mage is another great way to slow your opponent down, get some tempo, get a little blocker on the board to trade off with. Pest Brute Sloth's another really good way to slow down the aggro decks, but obviously we are in Prismari right now. We don't know if we are dabbling with any green and going Convergy at all. Pick number 6, there's the Divergent Equation, which is a really good finisher for the Spellslinger decks. You just pick up basically your whole graveyard, and then you're up so many cards, you're going to naturally win the game from there. Divergent Equation is excellent at the top of your mana curve. Pick 7 is pretty mid. Fire Dancer for a really aggressive Prismari deck, but that's really not what most of our cards are doing. Elemental Mascot's a little bit better for the slower Prismari decks. Can potentially draw you some extra cards when you start casting your big X mana spells. Pick number 8, Flusterstorm is super narrow for just a 1v1 draft, so I don't think it's very good, but I'll still rare draft it here. I'm certainly not going to play Procrastinate, and none of the off-color cards are worth speculating on. I guess we could play a Page, but Page is pretty dang filler. Pick number 9, Tackle Artist, I suppose. Could rare draft a Mind Roots, because I think I'm really unlikely to cut Tackle Artist, but there's actually a slight chance I play that. 0 chance I play any of this. Maybe Burrock? No, even if I do end up playing green as well, I'm going to be a very creature-light deck. Certainly not an Ancestral Anger strategy either. I'm going to go Glyph Mage here, I guess. If we end up going blue, red, white, splashing into Jeskai, that could be reasonable. Page or Rapturous Moment, don't love either. Both fine filler. I'll take the Rapturous Moment, get some of the big 5 mana or higher spells to jam. And a self-explanatory end to the pack. Very solid start here. I mean, the second half of the pack was pretty mediocre, but we got some really high card quality in the first half, so we're in a great position for Prismari. Splash in a Slumbering Trudge, go blue, red, green, or just take Prismari Charm, which is great interaction. Very flexible, very efficient. I'm going to take the Prismari Charm here, but Trudge would be a reasonable pick too. Okay, now I think the difference in power level between taking something on color and speculating on a splash is pretty high, because Glassrite is probably the best on color card, and it's just okay. Dual Tactics is much better in lore hold, because you're not always going to find one toughness stuff to kill, so when you're using this strictly as removal like you would be in Prismari, it's pretty mediocre. So I think Arcane Omen's off the splash. Speculation is the best pick here. Another elemental mascot, an Essence Scatter. Pigment Wrangler's very mid, and Spellbook Seeker, they're both just really slow. Take the Essence Scatter here. Molten Node is also really nice if we get good enough fixing, but we didn't really see any of the mana rocks. I don't remember what they're called in this set. The Potioner's Trove? Yeah. Didn't see any Potioner's Troves or anything, which is the main fixing in Prismari. There's also Hydro Channelers we could play our off-color spells with. But I'm going to take Inspiring Easel here. This is a brutally powerful Alchemy card. You get to start doubling up every instant and sorcery you cast for the rest of the game. You do have to spend an additional 2 mana on them when you are doubling them up, but it's still just really, really powerful, turning all your removal spells into 2-for-1 removal spells, doubling up your draw spells, and so on. I think I like Strife Knight more than Artisan. She will be against aggro decks now and then that just don't have any non-basics, and the double red is more restrictive cost. I'd rather just be using card selection. Digging through what I don't need, try to find what I do. Scalar Scholar is a really fun one. We played that in one of our very first Alchemy decks. We did the green-blue X-mana thing. Not what this deck is doing. Could splash Colossus the Blood Age in if we go Jeskai here with a Wilt in the Heat and a Colossus at the top, or we could just play Elemental Mascot. Just kind of filler. I think Mascot's filler enough to speculate on Colossus. Pick number 7, another Charging Strife Knight to dig through our filler and find what we're looking for. Landscape Painter's fine. Even if we do splash White Kirill's not a very good splash. It's a very narrow card that is specifically like synergy oriented to stuff leaving the graveyard. Deduce is a good one. Well, again, we're getting straight up 0 fixing, so we might end up just pure blue-red. None of these speculative picks doing anything. Yeah, we only need 4 more spells, and we'll have just a full, very playable Prismari deck. Definitely want to take more burn spells really highly. More interaction, burn spells, and counters. Number 1 thing I think that we're lacking on right now. Alright, pack 3, pick 1. We got a burn spell, we got a piece of interaction. Nope. No removal, no burn. There's a Snarl Song, but we've had absolutely no fixing. So Converge is just really not open here. I think we just take the flow state here for card selection. I guess Banishing Betrayal is pseudo interaction. It slows them down a second, but it doesn't actually fully deal with whatever you're hitting. So I'm just going to take the flow state, which is actually very good card draw, over very mediocre interaction. Ooh, Phoenix of Iteration's a really good finisher. I'm quite disappointed to see it in the same pack as Heated Argument, because Heated Argument is exactly the kind of card that we really need right now. But Phoenix of Iteration is so powerful, I can't pass it. I can't justify passing it. It gets +1/+1 every time you cast any instant or sorcery, even if it's in your graveyard, and then anytime you cast a 5 mana or greater instant or sorcery while it's in the grave, it comes back from the grave. It's really hard to deal with it. Speaking of, oh my god. Could we have been getting passed from this direction the whole draft? That would have been awesome, because Expedition Tidecaller is another egregiously powerful finisher. Basically, wait till turn 6, play this, and play a 5 mana spell. Mill your opponent 10. That's going to win most of the slower matchups all by itself. Just milling them 10 one time. It is so awkward for it to show up in the pack with all this burn, though, because the burn's not going to wheel, and we're just going to have too few interaction. I am really foreseeing that being a huge problem for this deck. But again, Tidecaller is so strong, I just don't think I can justify passing it, which means that we end up passing that removal and we get to pick 4 and onward where it's just gone because we took 2 bomb rares over 2 removal spells. Hydro Channeler or Spectacle Summit are both good here. I'm going to take the Spectacle Summit over the Hydro Channeler because we're going to run a pretty creature light deck, so Hydro Channeler is likely to just die very quickly to whatever removal they've got. Steal the Show is really, really slow, really bad removal, but we have so few, we might have to play it. I think I'd rather just take a Terramorphic or a Spell Pierce. It takes a very long time before this can actually remove something. Take a Spell Pierce. Pretty bad pack. Take a Muse Seeker. Pretty bad pack. Take a Landscape Painter. Nothing here either. I guess Chase Inspiration's reasonable with Expedition Tidecaller. We wield the Banishing Betrayal. So at least there's that. Did not wield the Heated Argument. And we did not wield the Heated Argument or the other removal spell that was in this pack that I forgot. So that's pretty awful. The blue-red deck with no interaction. We'll have to see how this does for us, but I have a feeling it's not going to go great. We'll see. We've had a really good record in Strixhaven lately. I mean, we had 103 in there. But we got multiple 7 wins. A couple 7 wins and a 6 win recently, I think. So, we'll balance it all out, get a little 3-3 in the middle. I guess technically get a 3-3 at the end, because tomorrow we're going to start playing the original Strixhaven flashback drafts, and then there's an Arena Direct, so this might be the last Secrets of Strixhaven draft for a while. Top off this format with the mediocre 3-3/4-3 it deserves. Let's get rid of the Rapturous Moment, Tidal Mage, Tackle Art. I think we're mostly getting rid of just like mid creatures here. I do like the Landscape Painters in here with Phoenix and Tidecaller having huge abilities for casting 5 mana stuff, so I think we can just cut everything that we set aside. I will say I do think our Rapturous Moment is actually decent enough because of the amount of things we have that care about those 5 mana spells to run that over. Just like the, just like the page here. All right. Some blue-red Spellslinger stuff. We have excellent bombs, Phoenix of Iteration, Tidecaller, and Splatter Technique, but we are really lacking on interaction here. We've got a Vibrant Outburst, Prismari Charm, Essence Scatter, and Banishing Betrayal, and then the Splatter Technique. So there's going to be some games that we're just against an aggressive deck, don't draw any removal, and die. So we'll see. We'll see how this plays out for us. There could also be games where we've got like turn 2 Phoenix of Iteration with all these cheap spells and we just absolutely steamroll our opponents. So we'll see where things land as we hop into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the draw for game 1. We're just going to bounce their first creature and slow state for some cards. That is kind of a worst case scenario start. Our opponent is on the play with a 1 mana 2/1 to start off. To immediately just jam us for a bunch of damage. We already said this was going to be the worst matchup by a lot. This one's going to be very rough because they're also, again, on the play and curving from 1 mana. See if they play a 3 mana creature here. That would be ideal. Okay, at least they cast something that just doesn't impact the board at all. Then a Graduation Day, okay. Find a Landscape Painter. I don't think it's particularly good here, but just playing a blocker is fine. I've already got Muse Seeker to play a blocker. I think I'm going to mill that. Hmm. So they could cast anything that targets any creature, and the Remnant's going to be a 3/2, and we don't have blocks anymore. We get to protect the Muse Seeker, and they don't get to hit us this turn. Draw a card, discard a card. That card is just another land. Top deck is another land. Let's Flow State, pray that we top deck a sorcery here so we can get the draw 2 off of this. Sorcery, sorcery, sorcery. Not a sorcery. So discard a land, and then we're going to draw 1. Our options are land, land, and land. So I guess it wouldn't have mattered even if we had a sorcery. We would have just drawn 2 lands. Play a Tidecaller, play a 5-mana Divergent Equation next turn. To mill them 10, but that's honestly just beneficial to them at this point. See what their top deck was. Dual Tactics. They can double cast it to kill Tidecaller. And then they can also Suvril it. Yep, this is super bad. It's going to trigger Graduation Day twice. It's going to trigger Blood Age Muster to get another creature. Go to 7. And it is a 4th land in a row. Wow. I mean, already a bad matchup, and then just quite bad draws means that was going absolutely nowhere. That is 0-1 heading into game 2. All right, here we are on the play this time for game number 2 with much better interaction too. This is a really good opener for our deck. 1 mana, 2/1. We'll start things off for our opponent. Follow it with the 2 mana, 3/1. Go ahead and scatter that and then stock up, I think. Take 2 and then Vibrant Outburst on their next swing. Ooh, Matterbending Mage is going to be really sweet here. Flow State's going to have an instant and a sorcery as well, so that's great too. Probably cast Flow State, look for an island here, and then kill the owl, tap the Remnant. Ooh. Oh man, that is tempting to get greedy with that. I mean, I don't have to cast Flow State right now, so I could play the Easel here. But I do think I have to play Vibrant Outburst this turn. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to cast this Vibrant Outburst here. Yeah. Kill that before they draw their card. Okay. Tackle Artist. Matterbending Mage the Tackle Artist, and I have a 2/2 up for the 2/1. Set up the double Flow State. Man. The Mythic Dargon Lorehold himself is here. They can discard a card, draw a card every turn, and every card they draw has Miracle for 2. Every instant sorcery they can cast for only 2 mana if they drew it this turn. It's double Flow State. Land, Chase Inspiration. Land, Prismari Charm. Okay. Let's double up our sleight of hand, and then we Prismari Charm back to Lorehold. If I do it before their first main phase, they can just recast it and still haste 5 damage in. Unbreakable Remnant. And Tackle Artist, saving Lorehold for later. They have 26 cards. They're dealing 7 plus 5. They're doing 12 next turn if I get hit by everything. So I need blockers. This could be greedy, but I'm gonna play Tidecaller and try to like block Chase Inspiration or something here. Phoenix is a really good chumper. Because Phoenix could potentially come back from grave. Need to hold the easel mana up here. Practiced Scrollsmith is the play. On Artistic Process, they can't afford yet for next turn. One of the biggest bombs in the format. I mean, I've got a Phoenix of Iteration, but they got Lorehold and Practiced Offense. That is gross. It's got Flashback anyway, so the Spell Pierce isn't even fully stopping it, really. Lorehold is also like the worst matchup to be trying to mill them out. This is rough. Technically, if I can cast 2 5-mana spells, I can win. I'm currently just dead to them hasting Lorehold out, though. Because the trampled out, I'm taking 5. I only need to get trampled for 1. Is there any route that leads to victory? 19 cards left. If I cast 3 spells that cost less than 5 and a 5, so if I play... Okay, if I play Strife Knight as well, I cast Chase Inspiration and Deduce, and block with enough to not quite die now, and then I go Vibrant Idea plus any other spell. If I survive this turn, I can probably cast enough spells to mill them. But I also need all my creatures to survive. I need Painter and Tidecaller to survive. So I can block here and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by the trample. We know they have Artistic Process in hand. Oh, that's 2 to each creature, right? Oh. So artistic process could just wipe out my hopes here. Anyway. Wait, so we know everything they have, like, revealed. So I could also do a block plus a chase inspiration, but then I don't have chase inspiration to save Tidecaller from dying to artistic process. Yeah, no, we just block there. And then we deduce. Find elemental mascot, mill that. Just a land, okay. Well, if they don't choose to deal 2 to all creatures, then they do lose. They are going to do 2 to all creatures, okay. We could still win if we top deck, like, our X mana thing. Or our Rapturous Moment, our 6 mana draw 3. Like, we've got outs here. Splatter Technique could win as well. That would mill them 10 and then draw us 4 cards. Splatter Technique would definitely win. Yeah, I think we have at least like 3 cards that would just win the game here. So our odds aren't horrific. That's one of them. Mill 10, and we just need to draw any spell. Any instant or sorcery. I can't afford that, right? Because the mana I get back? Yep, that works. There's the concession. Oh my god. I cannot believe we actually turned that one around. They definitely could have killed us if they played like pre-combat Rapturous Moment, or not Rapturous, Artistic Process, or like ran out a Lore Hold or something like that. Oh wow. We are really lucky they were playing it safe around some other stuff, and that was not what we had. What we had was Tidecaller Mill. Whew. Man. All right. I guess we'll take those. That is 1-1 heading into game 3. Man, we're just going to be against aggro all day, aren't we? That is our worst matchup, and I am very concerned. Silver Quill this time around instead of Lore Hold. This is going to be a really good game for our splatter technique, though. I will say that. It's our whole 1 power. I'm tempted to Vibrant Outburst because I am stopping 2 damage by doing it now, but I'm like, if they play even if they play a 2/2, it's better to wait, but especially if they end up playing a 3/3. Okay, they played a 3/3. I don't have time to cast literally no removal till Splatter Technique. I've got to do something here, but definitely. Definitely don't have to cast both Prismari Charm and Outburst. Elite Interceptor is so good, though, because it's like just replacing itself with that next card draw, just making it so the board wipe's not even going to get them that bad here. Take 5 for another turn. If I Prismari Charm this Banemaker, maybe I can afford to just spend next turn Vibrant IDing and see if we get another creature onto their board. I don't foresee just like untap splatter technique being a winning plan at that point. With 4 more cards in their hand still. Okay. It exactly render speechless instead. That is super unlucky. It's basically the only card they could have had that would have really punished doing that instead, versus it being literally any creatures. Doesn't even have to be specific ones. To where holding off on the splatter technique is better. Just whatever, 2 mana 2/2s, 3 mana 3/3s. They don't have to do anything crazy, and holding it would be better. Flyer kills me. Man, we were not set up for success here. Because imagine the alternative where I splatter technique. If I splatter technique, then they don't render speechless that turn. Instead, they just cast Abigail and Ink Mage, and I'm still in a really bad spot. Well, I can build them to 5 cards in their deck and send a message if nothing else. And it's going to be nothing else. None of these draws do anything about Abigail. One last chance. Okay, I guess that works. Barely. If they don't have removal. Yep. Rough one. That'll be 1 and 2 heading into game number 4. Here we are on the play for game number 4. This hand's not very keepable. It can't do a single thing until it hits an island. I mean, there's 9 blue sources in here out of 33 cards. Less than a 1 1/3, probably not doing anything on average until at least 3 draw steps, and we're on the play, which means that's turn 4. Yeah, no, that's a mulligan. Alright, we'll keep this one. And let us see if we can finally not be against aggro. Ayo, Forest, love to see that. We might have found our first game against something other than aggro. Probably a splashy slower deck here. Oh yeah, if they play a mountain. It's very likely a 4-color or more deck. Get their second green source, they probably have a double green card in their hand or something. We actually, weirdly enough, get to be the aggro player in this matchup because we're hitting for 5 on turn 3 on the play. So they are at the very least Prismari and Quandrix, green, blue, and red together. There's the Banner Bending Mage on the Phoenix since the Strife Knight has haste. It's also the cheaper card though, so it's the easier one to recast here. Really tempted to just run out the Tide Collar, but it's just a very good backup finisher. Just gonna hold up Spell Pierce instead. And not play Tide Collar till I'm milling them at least a little bit. Oh, that's a good Spell Pierce. Ooh, that's a good Spell Pierce. That's what they needed the second green for, the additive evolution. This trade isn't bad for me, because Phoenix is definitely coming back at some point, but not good for me either. Boom, put them to 5. Environmental scientist. We'll see if this grabs a 4th color or just another blue. It does grab another blue. Well, if they don't have removal, they're theoretically dead to us casting this one spell. Let's see. They haven't conceded yet, so they probably do have removal. Probably put 2 2/2s on the 3/3, put a 1/1 on the 2/1, cast removal on Phoenix. Run behind. Alright, well. Redraw a 2 mana 5/4. Be redrawing another immediately lethal threat. Visionary's Dance. Dang it, they have the flyers to not die to it. Play the Tidecaller here with spells up. Vibrant Outburst can shut off both the flyers. Ooh, Essence Scatter that. You are not exiling my Phoenix. Vibrant Outburst for the kill. I was about to say, it looked like it wasn't going to tap the one. I was like, what's going on? Please tap the blocker. All right, that was a really, really excellent hand, and our opponent was not a super aggressive deck, so we get a nice clean victory there. We are 2-2 heading into game number 5. All right, here we are on the play for game number 5. We've got a mono blue opening hand, but we actually have 3 castable spells. 2 castable spells if I don't top deck a single land of any kind, but if we hit a land of any type, we have 3 castable spells minimum, and we have some really powerful red spells if we get there. Another slower, very multicolored deck here. Start with the Studious First Year. I don't want to miss my land for turn, so it's not the craziest to bounce a First Year, but I really want this draw and discard. And we don't hit the land for turn anyway. Ditch a red card, surveil. There's an island. Yep. They do have the second green to be able to just play and activate First Year immediately, which makes the bounce not great, but we really need to hit lands here, so it was worth it just for the card selection. Matter Bending Maging the First Year would be very bad now. I think I don't mind if they just throw removal at Tidecaller here, because we're just in such a rough position. Mana-wise, it would be nice to buy some time by getting them to just spend turns throwing removal at stuff. Like if they play like the 5 mana deal 6 on Tidecaller, that's a really good turn for us because we need time to hit stuff. There's the Arcane Omen, so if we didn't play it, would have had to discard it anyway. So that's another reason to run it out there. Arcane Omens probably gets us anyway, though. Even if we played as well around it as we possibly could, it's just such a brutally powerful card in this kind of matchup. Yep, pretty daubers. Pretty dead. There's the Pterafractal. That thing's a 4-turn kill, which makes me happy. Because a lot of times in like the 4 or 5 color converge matchup, sometimes it can take them a really long time to kill you. So it's a game that you just know you're losing, but it just takes forever to actually die. This is not going to be one of those games. We're going to lose in like a couple turns. Thankfully. They got the Snarl Song too, and the mana for the Spell Pierce. Gross. All right. 2 and 3. It is right around what I expected for this deck. Kind of a rough showing for it overall, though. We ran against just a lot of aggro early to get those first couple losses. Oops, I was going to look at the deck some more, but I accidentally already claimed my prizes, so I can't go show off the deck list again. But just some little things to say about it. As I said during the draft and near the end of the draft, the big flaw with this deck was the lack of interaction. It made our matchup against the aggro decks really, really poor, and that's how we lost our first couple matches. The third match was really just getting like Arcane Omens in a slower matchup. That's gonna get us bad. If they didn't have Arcane Omens and they did just spend that turn like grapple with deathing the O2, I think that might have been a more reasonable game. But they had some pretty big spells coming up, a couple of Pterafractals and stuff, so they probably still would have won in the end, but certainly nowhere near as quickly as they did. Our biggest weakness was the lack of interaction in this deck. We had good rares, we had good bombs, we had the mill card, we had the Phoenix, and we had the big 4 damage board wipe, but we needed better interaction to survive long enough to actually cast all that, especially against those aggro decks. So about what I expect from this deck over here at a 2-3 run today. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.